Hello y'all, welcome to my channel. This is Miss Mother Trucker, and to start out with, it's not clickbait. I really was in fear of my life with this last student, and he will be my last student. I have quit training. And also I want to preface this at the beginning. As soon as Prime knew, I finally told Prime the depths of what was going on. My dispatcher was going to remove him off the truck immediately. I was not going to have to go another 10 feet down the road. But I asked them to, because we were so close to Springfield, I said, after I deliver, let me just come in. I'd rather have security there or be around people at Prime when I pull in before I tell them we're getting off the truck, or, you know, I need to be on the last leg of my journey without stopping anywhere. And then we'll get into there. So, okay, so let's back up to when this gentleman got on my truck. I got a call from the lady who places the guides on the truck with you, saying, hey, we got a student. He's been a driver before, but he hasn't driven in years, and you know, we're going to put him on your truck. And this was 2 students in a row that were prior drivers. The last one, Robert, did really good on my truck. He was an excellent driver. He's the one that wrecked my truck. But, you know, shit happens. But I thought, okay, well, at least I can sleep behind him, most likely. So, anyway, I call the guy up. He seems real nice. I mean, just nice, calm guy, and everything seems great. So I pick him up in Las Vegas, and everything seemed to be going just fine. We talk, you know, the meet and greet. We do one shift with him driving and me talking. We're just talking together. I want to see how he's driving, because I'm not just going to go right to sleep behind someone unless I kind of know what's up. So anyway, we're cruising down the road and everything's going great. Then we stop for the night. I climb up on the top bunk. He's sleeping on the bottom. I bought a new mattress to make sure he was comfortable and everything. So, you know, everything's going great. And then the next day I drive and I get us into our 90. And anyway, everything seems to be going just fine. But I had noticed he kept not putting himself into off-duty when he would pull over and park. And I'd tell him, okay, hon, this is how this works. You need to always put yourself in off-duty. We need to preserve your clock. And I go, because we never know when we're going to start going bam, 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 back to back. So we need to make sure we have good recaps. And whenever we can, I do a rolling 34. Because you never know when you're going to get busy, and you need that 34 also. And so I'm telling him this, and then finally, like the 3rd or 4th time, we're at our 90, and he forgot to put himself off duty again. You know, and I said, okay, well, you know, when we first get here, I need you to put yourself into on duty. You go check in at the customer, you come back, put yourself in off duty. And I go, and the reason we're doing this is, you know, we need to preserve that clock in case we got to run on recaps, and we always want to leave about an hour and a half, you know. And I said it just like I'm explaining to you. And he goes, what do you fucking think, I'm stupid, bitch? He goes, you don't need to tell me every little thing like I'm a goddamn child. And I'm like, oh, hell to the no. I'm thinking, this man, and he's a big son of a gun. I'm thinking, this man can knock me the fuck, you know, he could beat my ass. There would be nothing I could do. But, you know, I'm like, excuse me, honey, that dog don't hunt, doesn't even sniff. Don't you ever talk to me with that tone again. That ain't gonna work. And I go, I don't think you're stupid, but I have to be able to explain things to you. You might have known it, but evidently you didn't, because you keep not putting yourself into off duty. You keep not putting yourself into the proper categories for your clock. You know, whether it's off duty or on duty, checking in at customer or whatever. And I go, and it's my job as your instructor to teach you this. It's your job as a student not to start screaming and cussing at me and acting stupid. So I'd appreciate it if you would control your temper. I'm not trying to be condescending to you or anything. I just want to make sure you understand. Okay? And he just kind of got up and walked out. There was a grocery store across the street from our 90, and he walks over there. Don't say a word, and gets himself whatever he got over at that little store. I think he bought a big pack of Power Bars and a few other things. And I'm like, damn. But, you know, I'm not going to run, call my dispatcher and go, girl, guess what? He went off on me, blah, blah. You know, I don't want to sink someone's ship like that over he had a little mishap. So anyway, he come back on, didn't apologize, didn't say anything. I just kind of just said, okay, let's let this go, and we'll just see where it goes, and we'll just go on from there. You know, because everyone has a bad moment, everyone has a bad day. Y'all, it is just hot as hell in here. Whew. So anyway, we go on the next few days. It goes fine. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe this was just a one-off thing, you know. No big deal. Oh, just a second, guys. Okay, so, like, a few days, I kept noticing he kept throwing shit up on the dash. And I would tell him, hey, you know, we need to keep our dash clean. We need to keep the front of this looking neat. Because otherwise, you know, we go through a way station, it looks all shabby. We could get called in for an inspection. And he goes, well, if we get called in for an inspection, no big deal, because, and he's yelling it. He goes, because if we're doing something wrong, we deserve to get caught. And I would be like, no. And I go, I like keeping my truck neat. And I like keeping it clean. He goes, then you fucking clean it. Yeah, and he's yelling this at me. I'm just not going to scream my ass off acting stupid. And I'm like, you need not to talk to me with that tone and talk to me like that again. I go, I'm your trainer, I'm your instructor here at Prime. You do not, and you're on my truck in my home. If I ask you to keep that straightened out, you keep it straightened out. Okay? And he just doesn't say a word. He's just like, whatever. You know, and I'm like, okay. So, anyway, we go on, and I guess another 4 or 5 days go by, and I stop, and I'm driving. I stop at a Pilot, and I always go like, and then I open, you know, give them a second in case whatever, and I open the curtain. I open the curtain, I look back there. Oh, boy's just got his legs spread, nothing on, and he's got a blanket just laying between his legs and his hand down there, I guess, playing with himself. And then I just look at him, and he just smiles like, you know, come and get it, baby. And I'm like, and I said, we're at a Pilot, if you need to go use the restroom or whatever. Really? Yeah, that dog don't hunt. That dog doesn't even sniff. Okay? So anyway, I go in and I let that go, and it just goes by. Because, you know, he could have been thinking about some girl at home. I don't know. But we go on by, and then, what happened next? Let me see. Oh, then another time, I tell him that, hey, I drove, and then he goes, oh, do I drive now? And I said, no, I'm getting you a rolling 34 because there's enough time in this trip to do a 34, and we don't know if we're going to start getting slammed. And he was already down to like 1 day before he was on recaps. And of course, he had not been doing his clock correctly. I mean, I'd have to go in, help him clean it up, stuff like that. And then he goes, fuck this, fuck this. You don't tell me when I can drive and when I can't drive and when I need a 34 and when I don't need a 34. And I'm like, actually, darling, that's exactly what I do. I run this truck, not you. And if I think we have a chance to get a 34 either for you or for me, I'm going to get it. I'm going to take that opportunity. You know, and he's just slamming stuff back there and acting a fool. And I'm like, whatever. And then another time we're going along and he kept getting up front and wanting to sit up front, stay up front. And he'd sit there and fall asleep. And I'd say, you need to go in the back and get your sleep. You know, you're going to have to be driving before long. And DOT regulations, you're only allowed to set up here for a couple hours. And you got to do the rest of your time in the sleeper, whether you're asleep or not. Because, well, I can't sleep. I'm not a kid. You're not going to fucking tell me when I got to get in the back. I said, actually, I am going to tell you. You need to get back there. And he's getting more and more aggressive. And he'll start throwing slamming stuff, acting stupid. And I can see it building. And I remember, like with my ex-husband, how he started building and then just started getting, you know, where it is ramping up towards violence. And this is starting to make me real nervous because the thing is his stuff would come from nowhere. We could be talking like, oh, what a beautiful sky. That's not fucking beautiful. You should see Vegas' skies. And I'd be like, okay, I was just saying it was pretty. I don't give a shit. You know, but it's screaming. The shit, and that was just, you know, an example. That actual one didn't happen, but it was similar stuff to that. It happened so frequently, it didn't start out frequent, but it got more and more frequent when he'd see it, get away with it. Finally, I told him, I said, listen, no more. You blow up at me one more time like that and get aggressive with me one more time, you're going to be off the truck. I go, I cannot handle that. You know, I didn't tell him I was scared because I didn't want him to know. I think he knew he was scaring me. But I'm just not, we're not going to do that. That is not how we're going to communicate. And I'm not going to be on my truck in fear. So anyway, and then he watched some video about that trainer jumping off, that student jumping off his top bunk and stabbing that trainer to death. You know, and I go, oh my God, that is horrible. And he goes, well, I can understand it. And I'm like, I'm just like, check, we're going to think about that. And anyway, so things are going along, and then once again, I'm knocking here like, hey, and I need to grab my shower bag, and I hear snoring, and I open up the deal. Now understand, this guy normally would sleep in sweatpants or boxers or something, totally buff, ass in the air, you know, just showing off all his nudity. And I'm like, I don't think so. So I reach back like this, I grab my shower bag, and I run in and I take my shower. You know, so it's just little shit like this. And then if some guy's hitting on me or I'm flirting with some guy, because, you know, hey, I like flirting. I'm a big old flirt. Not with my students at all, not even a little. Next thing you know, I'm getting all this fucking attitude. I don't think so. No, Bubba. Bubba ain't shooting no damn jukebox. We ain't doing it. That dog don't hunt. So anyway, it was just getting a little crazy. So now I turn around. My dispatcher asked me, hey, can you do a recap for me? And I'm like, sure. You know, I was tired, but I thought, okay. You know, and they go, well, after you drop your load, shoot over, and I need you to grab this load and do a recap. So I get over there, and the guy is like real sweet, you know. He's an owner op, and he's on the logistics side, and we're talking, flirting, you know, whatever. And I get the load and take off, and I keep hearing stuff shift around back there. Someone's not happy. So anyway, and then I hear snoring. He's asleep, and I'm like, thank God. I'm driving down the road, and it's getting real late, and now this load is tight. And next thing I know, you know, I pull over, and I go, hey, Daryl, you ready, hon? Fuck no, are you crazy, you fucking bitch? And I'm like, he goes, I can't sleep behind anyone driving. He was snoring just before. So he goes, I ain't driving. I will drive when I want to drive and when I'm ready to drive, not when you want me to drive. And I said, listen. And I go, you can't sleep behind someone, which I knew was a bald ass lie. And I say, you know, we're running this as a team truck. I'm your instructor, but it's a team truck. I drive, you drive. That's how it works. And he goes, well, I ain't fucking doing it. And I mean, he's screaming and yelling at me. So I call up Prime. I said, listen, we're not going to make it. My student refuses to drive. And, you know, I told him what happened. And he goes, okay, you know, just let me know when you get going. I said, I'm really sorry. And he goes, hey, there's nothing you can do if your student's refusing to drive. And I said, okay. You know, and I know this is only, the 90 is only going to be 170 miles from Prime, Springfield. So anyway, I climb up in the top bunk, and he's muttering under his breath, calling me every little nasty thing he can. And I'm kind of scared at this point because he knows he's going to get off the truck. He had just said earlier how he understood how that trainee stabbed the trainer to death. And I'm thinking, holy shit, I'm out of hours. I can't keep going. And, you know, I don't know what to do because I know this dude knows he's going to be put off my truck. So, I'm telling you, I'm sleeping out. I climb up in that top bunk. I can't sleep or anything because I'm not sure this guy's going to come up there and kill me. And I'm serious. If you could feel the energy in the truck, you can feel and hear his tone. You know, and I'm sleeping with a knife up there going, oh, please do not climb up here and kill me. You know, I had my little utility knife for all that would have done, you know. I mean, this guy could have just grabbed me, and that little knife would have been nothing because it's not made like a weapon knife, you know. And I'm like, oh, shit. So that whole night, for 7 hours, he waited until he got up in the morning and didn't say a word, gets up here, slams shit around. He just tossed the bill of ladings, everything right on the floor. I'm like, whatever. He drives until his shift's up. Then there's my shift, and there's like 150 miles to go. He stops, getting something to eat. You know, doesn't say a word to me. I get prepared for my shift. He gets up, he tosses shit aside, you know, just throwing shit around, jumps in the back. He's back there, and you can hear stuff being slammed and stuff. And I go to the 90, take care of everything, deliver it, close everything up. And I had gotten out, I got to get back up. Before I even got to the 90, it was, you know, daytime. So I call Mary, my dispatcher, and I tell her what's happening. She goes, throw him off the truck right there. And I said, Mary, I'm afraid to. I need security, or I need to be on the last leg of the journey with no stops to Prime before he knows he's getting off this truck. Otherwise, I'm just afraid, you know, I'm in that truck with him, what he could do, you know, if I don't have some kind of help around me, or if I'm not driving and not stopping until I pull into Prime. Because, you know, I'll run that truck right off the road and send him flying through the windshield if he attacks me while I'm driving. So Mary goes, are you sure? Because Prime, I mean, they got right behind me. Just anything I need to be safe, Prime was going to do. And I was so grateful. So anyway, I get to my 90 deliver, unload, do all that. And I'm on my way. I told Mary, and Mary told me, once you leave there, you're going to be 100 and something miles from Prime. You come right in. You do not stop. If you have the fuel, you just keep coming. And I said, okay, yeah, I'd stopped and filled up, so I knew I would have enough fuel to get in. And anyway, we're on our way. We're headed in, and child, next thing you know, he goes, did we get a load? I didn't see anything come onto my app. Where are you going? And I said, we're headed to Prime. And I just made up a lie. I said, because we didn't get there in time. I go, one thing, I got to get my camera put in, and because I didn't deliver on time, because you wouldn't drive, I got a service failure, and I'm not going to be able to be an instructor anymore. You can't be an instructor if you had a service failure. They pull your ability for 6 months, which was a lie. I just need an excuse to get in. And he's throwing shit back there, and he goes, so I'm getting off the truck, is that it? You're kicking me off the truck. And I'm like, yeah, you're getting off the truck. If I can't be in the truck, you can't be on my truck. And he's just tossing shit, and he's all mad. And then he just kind of calms down. And I'm like, you know, and he blew up a lot more times during the, you know, I just can't remember every time as I do this video. I should have planned it better and wrote things down. But anyway, so we're on our way in, and he goes, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, listen, if you can't sleep behind an instructor, maybe you should do intermodal, because I don't believe, at least you didn't have, you used to be able to go right from getting your CDL, going out with the intermodal driver for a couple of weeks, learning how to do intermodal, and then just drive intermodal without going over the road. And I said, maybe you can do that. We can call, I think his name was Rick or whatever, the head of intermodal guy. So I called, what was it? The fuel desk. And I said, hey, can you hook me up with the head of intermodal? And they connected us. And we're sitting there. He's talking to the intermodal guy. It's on speaker. And about doing intermodal. And he goes, well, you know, now we're requiring you to have some over the road miles. I think if you can get to 30, and he only has 20-something thousand, then you can do intermodal. And they talked about cities to do and stuff like that. And it goes from there to, okay, yeah, that sounds great, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, this guy's chilling out. You know, maybe I don't have to drive into a tree or something, you know. So anyway, I pull into the yard. Finally, we get to Prime, and he just jumps off the truck, and I go, listen, we got to meet with Chris Martin at 1400 because they want to meet with us because you're off the truck now, you know. And he had called, got a rental car and everything. And I said, so wait to go pick up your rental car until you talk to him. And you can discuss going intermodal if we can get those hours, you know, that time waived, the extra miles waived or what. And anyway, he goes, yeah, okay, whatever. And I go, okay, well, I'm going to go over and see what I got to do about getting these cameras in and drop the truck over there. And because you're going to need to get your stuff off. And he just walks off with his little backpack, his shower bag. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. You know, so I get through inbound, and now they're making you just drop your trailer in inbound now, and then you go in. So anyway, I go on in, and I check, and they start putting the camera system in my truck, and then I turn around, and I go upstairs and sit with my finance lady. Hello, darling. And anyway, we're sitting up there talking, laughing, and I go, well, where's Chris? And she goes, oh, you know, he's not normally in today, but he'll be in later. So I sat there and I message Daryl. I said, hey, listen, make sure you're up here at 1400. That's the time we got to be here. And he goes, I've already been up there. They said he's not in today, so I'm going to go do whatever. I said, no, he's coming in special for us today. He's not normally in today, but he will be in. And anyway, then I get another message saying that he's not going to be in until 14:30, 30 minutes later. So I message him. He goes, and then, no, I call him. I said, listen, he's not going to be here until 14:30. He goes, what do you think, I'm fucking stupid? He goes, I can read the messages. I'm setting up here. And I stand up and I look over the partitions and I see him. I said, oh, hey, Daryl. And I said, well, he's going to be here in just a minute. And then Chris Martin walks in. And Daryl's just sitting there seething and shit. And I'm like, whatever. You know, and then we end up, Chris Martin says, hey, you know, why don't we come on in here and blah, blah, blah. Everything's going to be just honky-dory, you know. So we go in there and sit, and it's kind of, and remember, I'm just going to paraphrase. It's not exact, because I can't remember exact little words and stuff, but I'm going to give you the flavor of it. So, anyway, we're sitting in there, and he goes, well, you want to tell, speaking to me, do you want to tell me what happened? And I'm like, well, what's going on is Daryl seems to be having trouble, because I want to save this guy's job. You know, because I didn't tell everyone every little thing he had done. You know, and I didn't call Prime each time he had blown up. I didn't call until the last time, because I was caused a service failure. And, you know, I was scared. And I had told him, you keep doing this, you're going to be off my truck. And I wish I wouldn't have said that, because that's what really scared me, is I didn't know what he was going to do when it's actually, hey, chances are up, buddy, this is it. And so I wish I would have just kept it in my head, he's going to be off the truck if he does this again, and then headed in. But here nor there. So anyway, I go, well, you know, he's having trouble sleeping behind someone when they're driving. And he goes, I can talk for myself. Just went off right there with Chris Martin sitting there. Chris Martin goes, you'll get a chance. I want to hear from Michaela. And so I go, anyway, he's a great driver. And he goes, you don't need to be talking for me. And he goes, and then Chris Martin turns to him again and said, listen, she's going to talk. You're going to shut up or be quiet, something to that effect. He was real stern with him, until she's finished. And then I'll hear what you got to say. And he's just sitting there seething. I mean, you can just see it brewing in him. And I go, listen, he's a real nice guy. I understand he's probably just a little grouchy because he hasn't been sleeping. I was not aware of that. And he goes, you were aware of it. I told you right from the beginning. And she starts yelling. And then Chris Martin says, I told you. You're to sit there, not say a word. Let her talk. You do not interrupt her again, or we're going to go out here and talk about it. Something like that. You know. And I'm like, and Chris Martin, he's a buff guy, dude. I was like, wow, I did not know this man looked so yummy. But anyway, so, and remember, I'm just paraphrasing. These are pretty close to the words. I can't remember the exact thing. I was pretty stressed out when it was all going down. But I'm sitting there, and I just want to save this dude's job. I do not, and he's making it impossible because he's acting like an ass. And so, anyway, I go, listen, he's a great driver. He's a good backer. He's the best backer that's ever been on my truck. You know, he's very timid going forward. I didn't say that. I'm just telling y'all now because I wish I would have remembered that story with the tornadoes. That was another time he started cussing me out because of the weather when he was driving. But anyway, my ADD squirreled. But so, anyway, so, I kind of, you know, I'm building up this guy, trying, and I said, but we have talked about him possibly going intermodal, and because he wouldn't have to be trying to sleep behind someone. I didn't tell him that he's snoring all the time behind me, sleeping and all this. I'm making excuses for homeboy. And so I go, that maybe that's a good deal. But then I found out that, they're asking $30,000. He goes, well, I know the head of Intermodal. Maybe I can get them few extra miles waived. And I go, but anyway, I think he's a great guy. He's just having trouble sleeping. I think that's where this is coming from. And I didn't realize he was having all this trouble sleeping behind another driver. But, I can't have someone on my truck that can't sleep behind someone who's driving, because we got to run as a team, and we got loads that are just too tight. You have to be able to drive, and you have to be able to get your sleep. And I know damn well he could get his sleep, but he would stay up playing games, watching videos, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Instead of sleeping when he needed to sleep, and I understand that. So, anywho, I said that I really have nothing bad to say about the man, outside of, you can't be snapping at me like that, and you can't be refusing to drive. And that's about it. So anyway, then he turns to Daryl and he goes, so I guess you knew you were getting off the truck. And he goes, this is the first I've heard about it. That's what I'm talking about. She doesn't communicate. It's her way or the highway. And it is my way or the highway. It's my truck. I'm in charge, and he goes, and I was like, and he goes, is that true? He didn't, and I go, Daryl, you asked me, am I getting off the truck when we get there? And I told you, yes, you were. And he goes, oh yeah, I forgot. That's right. Just like that. And Chris is like, and he goes, well, I can talk, like I said, I can talk to my friend in Intermodal if you can't sleep behind someone, and maybe get them hours waived, unless you're wanting to do OTR. Are you really wanting to stay with OTR? And he goes, yeah, we didn't even talk about Intermodal. That's a lie. She just lies. And I said, well, you can call the head of Intermodal. We just talked to him a couple hours ago. And he goes, oh, I forgot. And he goes, well, you seem to be forgetting a lot. And he goes, well, you had to put up with her for an hour. You would know. He goes, 10 minutes. He goes, just going on. And he goes, listen. He goes, that's enough. You talking like that about her and yelling and everything. He goes, so far she's been calm. She's just sat here, built you up, said nothing but great things about you. And you just keep going up. He goes, you've been screaming and yelling in here. We've been in here 10 minutes. You screamed and yelled at me 3 times. And blah, blah. I mean, he just kept going. And anyway, so finally Daryl's starting to settle down some. And he goes, well, how he didn't know he was getting off the truck and everything. Then Chris goes, okay, so what's your plan? He goes, are you want to try to go Intermodal, get on another truck? Are you wanting to go home first? Do we need to get you arrangements to go home to do something and wait for a trainer, or what? And he goes, I've already rented a car and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I thought you didn't know you were getting off the truck. But yet he's already rented a car and everything. So anyway, it was this hot mess. The dude just kept disintegrating. And understand, a lot of these aren't the exact precise words. They are how he was screaming, yelling, cussing at me. There was a lot more incidents that I did not remember. And the meeting with the head of training, Chris Martin, he was very, very good. I mean, he really stood behind me. He did not just go after my trainee to just destroy him. He was looking for a reason to be able to move forward with him. He was very fair. Then he asked me if I was ready to take another student. I said, no, I'm done. I am done. This is it. I'm done. But, you know, if you are at all afraid about being a trainer because you're worried that Prime won't stand behind you, don't be. They stood behind me big time. If you're afraid of coming into training and getting a bad trainer, that Prime isn't going to take care of you, he tried desperately to take care of this guy, but he kept getting caught in lies. He was screaming and yelling with Chris Martin sitting right there, acting a fool when I'm trying to save this dumbass, because I didn't want to see him get fired. Did he scare me? Yes. That night, did I think he might kill me? Yeah. And I just said, listen, and this is separate. I said, don't put him with another woman, and don't put him with a small guy if you're going to put him with someone. And Chris Martin said, you know, if they put him with someone, he had a guy in mind, and I think it was some guy that could more than handle him. But I honestly don't think he's still with Prime, because he was calling Snyder about going to work for Snyder, because evidently he said something about their training program's only 2 weeks, and you don't sleep behind the trainer. They just sit in the passenger seat while you drive. And I was like, well, you know, whatever works for him. So I don't know if he stayed with Prime or not. But that's what happened. It was terrifying. And I am done training. And that's the story. But Prime 110% stood by me. I was very impressed. It was pretty awesome. My dispatcher was there for me. The head of training was there for me. It was pretty awesome. It really was. I mean, but that was probably the scaredest I've been since my ex-husband. This dude was unhinged. And the thing is, like I said, if there would have been triggers, things to avoid. But it could be the color of the sky. You saying it was a beautiful sky, then all of a sudden he was cussing you out because it wasn't a pretty sky to him. You know, or, oh wow, this tea tastes good. That shit's fucking nasty. What the fuck is wrong with you type thing. Now, we didn't say this tea's good or this, you know, this is just, you know, how it was going. But it kept getting progressively worse, and when he knew he was going to get off, well, I figured he knew he was going to get off my truck, because I told him if he did it again, he was going to be getting off my truck. And so I had regretted saying that, you know, because I had to go into that top bunk. And so anyway, guys, this is my video. That's the most scared I've ever been as a truck driver. That's why my student's off my truck. I'm not going to give his full name. But it was a horrifying experience. I am grateful to Prime. And that's another reason. If you're a trainer, you want one of these camera systems. You want one of them on your truck. Trust me. You know, for one thing, it's going to be a deterrent to any student if they know that camera's there. Now, would it have been a deterrent to my student? I don't know. He started acting that stupid, and not to the full extent he was, but he was seething and blowing up right there at Prime with Chris Martin sitting there. Now, Chris Martin could have bounced this guy off the walls, and I felt very safe with Chris Martin there. Now, I could not have bounced that guy off the walls. He would have just flat killed me. There's nothing I could have done. Now, when I was behind the wheel, honey, I'd sent him right through that windshield. But, you know, don't be afraid to be a trainer. But for most people, you know, the he said, she said shit, it's not going to work if you have that camera. If you're a trainer, volunteer, get that camera in your truck now. Because one thing, if you're driving along, your student's texting, and that's another thing he did. He would pick up his phone, and I said, you know, you can't be doing that. Mind your own effing business. I know what I can do and I can't do. So, you know, it just was to a point that it was untenable. But with a camera system, that's going to cut a lot of that stuff, because then it takes it from you in prime stealing with the person, because it picks up, you know, someone picking up the cameras and stuff. I mean, picking up the phones and stuff. So, and then if they sit there and let's say they're screaming at you and they're right here on you, camera's going to pick that up. Then you call Prime and say, listen, this is what's going on. They go and they back and they look at the footage. So I think every trainer, every team truck should, unless it's a husband and wife thing or something, should have that camera on their truck. So anyway, guys, this is Miss Mother Trucker, all my little truckers and truckerettes out there. Lots of love. You know, and I will catch you guys on the next round. Miss Mother Trucker out.